Welcome back to The Explainer. Look, today we are breaking down the exact blueprint for aspiring and returning real estate investors to secure funding, and we're talking about doing this completely without a recent 3-year track record. If you've been searching for that master key to finally unlock your real estate portfolio, well, you are absolutely in the right place.
Because let's be honest, it's a super frustrating reality, right? You've got the knowledge, you've got the drive, you've studied your local market for months. But when you actually go to pull the trigger, traditional lenders just put up a brick wall. Why? Simply because your experience has either aged out, meaning no deals in the last 3 years, or you're quite literally just starting out. It makes you feel like you were permanently stuck at square one.
But fortunately, there is a very real solution here. Rei Axis Inc. has built this incredible zero-experience tier that delivers the exact same competitive leverage that is usually strictly reserved for seasoned pros. You know, this isn't some watered-down starter program where they treat you like a huge liability. It gives you a dedicated team, locked pricing, and the elite leverage you actually need to compete in today's market, completely track record free.
So here is our playbook for today's explainer. We're covering overcoming the experience barrier, the 2 paths to funding, underwriting like a pro, leveling up your leverage, and finally, the fast track to closing. All right, jumping right into Section 1. Overcoming the experience barrier.
Getting that very first deal funded is honestly the hardest part, purely because you are fighting against strict industry gatekeeping. But Rei Axis Inc. completely shatters that barrier. When you bring them your first deal, they treat it with the exact same respect, speed, and digital access as an investor who has, say, 50 deals under their belt. You can get up to 90% of the purchase price funded, and get this, 100% of your construction costs covered. That level of capital access is just an absolute game changer for someone starting out, keeping your cash out of pocket impressively low.
Which brings us to Section 2. 2 paths to funding.
With that massive barrier completely out of the way, you essentially have 2 distinct paths depending on your strategy. First up is the rehab blueprint for fix and flips. Now we're talking about light rehabs here, meaning your construction budget is under 50% of the total project cost. For cosmetic updates, kitchens, floors, they will fund 100% of your construction. Loan amounts range from $100,000 all the way up to $3.5 million, with terms giving you a really comfortable 6 to 24 months to finish the flip. It just makes your very first deal incredibly manageable, which is simply smart investing. But what if you want to buy and hold? Well, before we tackle that second path for turnkey rentals, let's just quickly demystify some of this industry alphabet soup. DSCR stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. It simply measures if your gross monthly rent covers your PITIA. And PITIA, that is your principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and HOA fees. Basically, if the rent pays for the PITIA, the property pays for itself. So if you're buying a turnkey single-family home or a small multifamily to rent out, this DSCR program is fantastic. It's nearly identical to the professional tier. As a zero-experience investor, you're only seeing a tiny 5% adjustment from what a mega investor gets. You can still get up to 75% loan-to-value on purchases and rate and term refinances. You get the exact same rates, the same 30-year fixed or interest-only options, and the exact same dedicated team.
Moving right along to Section 3, underwriting like a pro. Here is the truth of the matter. Lending guidelines are important. Sure, but the math, the actual profitability, is what ultimately gets a deal approved by the underwriter. For fix and flips, your approval relies on the 3-metric rule. Your loan is capped by whichever of these 3 guardrails is the most restrictive. Max 90% loan to purchase, max 90% loan to cost, or max 75% loan to after repair value. These guardrails ensure you have a built-in equity cushion so you don't get over-leveraged. For example, on a $200,000 purchase with a $60,000 rehab, your 90% loan-to-cost limit allows up to $234,000 in funding. It literally covers your entire construction budget and most of your purchase.
But how do you even know what to offer in the first place? Well, you target a 20% profit margin. If you reverse engineer your numbers targeting that 20% margin, you can confidently determine your maximum purchase price and precise rehab budget before ever making an offer. If a home will sell for $350,000 after repairs, you divide that by 1.20 to find your maximum all-in cost. Subtract your purchase price and closing costs, and boom, you have your exact maximum rehab budget staring right back at you.
Let's apply that DSCR math to a $250,000 rental property. If you put 25% down, your PITIA is roughly $1,623 a month. Now, if the market rent is $1,850, your DSCR is 1.14x. That is a beautiful, healthy, cash-flowing deal. But what if rent is only $1,400? Your ratio drops to 0.86x. But here's the kicker. Rei Axis will actually still fund that 0.86x deal. It just temporarily requires 6 months of reserves out of pocket because you'll have a slight negative cash flow each month.
Okay, Section 4. Leveling up your leverage.
Once you close that very first deal, you don't just stay stuck in the starter tier. Building your track record is literally exactly like leveling up in a video game. Deal 1 gets you in the door. By Deal 4, you unlock heavy rehabs and ground-up construction. By Deal 6, full construction leverage kicks in. And by Deal 8, you hit Tier 1 pricing and start getting percentage discounts off the base rate, unlocking cross-collateralization and higher matrix access, simply by completing projects.
To make absolutely sure you reach these higher tiers without a hitch, you must set up your credentials correctly. You need to form a legal entity. An SPV LLC is highly recommended here. Your credit needs to be clean, meaning no bankruptcies in 3 years. Though, amazingly, there's actually no minimum FICO for rehab loans. And a massive pro tip for you. Rigorously document everything. Save every single closing statement, before and after photo, contractor invoice, and lease agreement from day one. That paper trail is your literal passport to higher leverage tiers, saving you thousands of dollars down the line.
And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, the fast track to closing.
Once you have your deal and your documents ready, the friction just completely disappears. You get instant portal submission and, more importantly, 0 handoffs. You have a single dedicated loan officer who reviews your initial file and guides you all the way to closing. This completely eliminates those awful, cluttered email threads. Plus, appraisals are rapid, and when you're mid-project and need your construction draws, you just snap a few photos via a secure link, and those funds are wired to you in typically under 2 business days. It allows you to get clear to close in under 2 weeks. So here is your exact playbook. Step 1, get pre-qualified with Rei Axis by heading to reaxis.com or giving them a call at 678-956-7977. Step 2, find your property and rigorously run the reverse engineering and DSCR formulas we just learned. And Step 3, upload your contract and documents to the portal to secure your funding fast. Look, the first deal is always the hardest, simply because everything is completely new to you. But you now have the exact formulas, the math, and the zero experience funding framework right in front of you. You don't need to wait 3 years to build a resume before taking action. So I'll leave you with this. What is the true cost of waiting to build your portfolio when the capital is already waiting for you? Take the leap, pass this explainer along to an aspiring investor friend who's stuck at square one, and start analyzing those properties today.